justified by poverty, by the hope that the child will have a chance at a decent life. What happened to an Indian child, Ameena Begum, cannot be justified. At age 13, her family sold her to an elderly Saudi as a wife. It goes on every day in India and Pakistan. Those who defend it say it breaks no laws of Islam. But the fact is, the girls go to the Gulf states as virtual slaves and are often resold into prostitution or domestic service. And that breaks a lot of laws. The abuse of women generally in the third world is routine, but the Ameena story shocked even case-hardened India. Hyderabad in southern India is a city of almost 5 million people, about half of them Muslim. It's poor, but very rich in life and color, a bazaar of industries of every size and nature, including the thriving business of arranging marriages, an ancient and not so honorable tradition.
Are you a marriage broker? Operator. Marriage. You're the proprietor. Marriage dealing.
There's a long history of trade in brides between Muslim India and Persian Gulf Arabs. The girls have a reputation for good looks, hard work, and the price is right. Hyderabad in Arabic is Balad al-Urus, city of brides. It's been known but unreported that a part of the trade was in children, girls sold off by poor parents. Unreported until this woman, Amrita Alawalia, a flight attendant for Indian Airlines, blew the whistle. Last year, while working Flight 440 from Hyderabad to Delhi, she found a young girl crying, refusing to enter the plane.
She was dressed up like a bride. She had a whole lot of jewelry on her, which was all imitation jewelry.
Amrita asked her why she was crying.
She said, there's a dirty old man. He's taking me somewhere. So I said, what do you mean taking you somewhere? You don't know where you're going? She says, no. So I asked her, I said, who's this old man? So she says, my parents have married me off to him. This man gave a lot of money to my parents. And for that, they got me married. But I'm scared and I don't want to go with him. I'm scared because my father and mother said, please don't ever try and come back home. If you come back home, we'll kill you. And we will commit suicide.
Or commit suicide?
Yes. But before we commit suicide, we'll kill you. She was like a frightened kitten. She didn't know what she wanted. She didn't know what she had in store for her. She just wanted to be helped.
The child was Ameena Begum, age 13. We'll get to the rest of her story in a moment. But months before, she'd become a commodity in Hyderabad's sleazy market. The Arabs who come here looking for brides stay at cheap hotels, little more than flop houses, like Green, where the manager caters to the trade, or the President Hotel. The manager of the President, Latif Khan, knows exactly what his clients want.
Most of the time they look for a virgin girl, a fresh girl. That is the first, term of their marriage. The girl has to be a virgin. Suppose if they find anything wrong, next day they will divorce the girl.
Divorce her?
Yes.
In front of the President, the brokers hang out, pockets filled with lists of poor families whose girls are for sale. Families that can't afford the dowry that's routinely demanded in India. The brokers, two of whom talk to us through an interpreter, get a piece of the $200 or so that the Arab pays for his child bride. What kind of girls do they want?
Okay face.
Pretty. Beauty. And young?
Young.
And must be a virgin?
Yeah. But they prefer virgins only. And they want lean, beautiful girl. No marriage. No marriage. Means they want virgins.
No divorce.
No.
What is the time between they meet the girl and they...
Wife. That's all. Wife. And from his pocket, he took out a folded certificate sort of a thing. And he says, wife, and my nikah nama. He said the word nikah nama is called the wedding certificate. And on the left-hand side was this man's name, Yahya HML Sagi, and on the right-hand side was the name Ameena Begum, and age 32.
32?
Yes. So I looked at him and I said, you cheat. You trying to show me a certificate which says the girl's age is 32. And then I said it in a louder tone all around to the passengers and I said, ladies and gentlemen, we have always known or heard about cases like this, that people from outside come and marry our little children and girls and they take them away. They said, then what do you plan to do? I said, that I've already taken the decision. I have asked her and she'll stay with me. And as the time comes and all that, I'll put in the papers for her adoption and I'll bring her up.
The plane was still on the ground. Amrita was afraid that local authorities would do nothing. She got the passengers to sign a petition as witnesses to what was going on, and the plane left for Delhi.
We had sent the radio message to Delhi for the police, and by the time we landed in Delhi, the police was there, and he was the first one to be taken out of the aircraft and was arrested at the airport.
The Saudi man?
Yes.
What was he like? What did he look like?
I think he's the ugliest man you can ever come across in life.
The Saudi, Yahya al-Sagi, in his 60s, was arrested and charged with marrying a minor. Police took Ameena into custody, the beginning of a terrifying ordeal.
I thought that the police would be required only to be taken care of this man. But this child could have come with me from the airport to the house and I would have kept her there, even if she was not given to me by the court.
Though there have been tens of thousands of women sold in Hyderabad, many of them still children, the case of Ameena and the action of Amrita caught the country's imagination. There were daily revelations. Police learned he already had 4 wives and found his suitcase was full of cash and photos of several other young girls. It was common knowledge that many brides end up as domestic slaves at best or are sold as prostitutes. But no one, until Amrita, did anything about it.
What made you step in on this one?
It was that helplessness on that child's face, because at that time I know I've risked my job. I know I risked everything that I have at that moment. But I felt that I have to do it. I cannot let this go on.
What was the immediate reaction by people to what you did? Did they think of you as a heroine?
No. Initially, a lot of people thought I had motive. Some of them thought I did it for publicity. Some of them thought I did it for money. Some of them thought I was crazy. That why the hell should I go and interfere in anybody's life and all that. But it was not anybody and everybody. It was a child. It could have been anybody's child. It could have been me if I was 20 years younger.
Amrita was cold-shouldered by the airline, but managed to keep her job. The Arab was released on bail and was allowed to stay in the Saudi embassy in Delhi. As outraged as the rest of the country was, the city of Hyderabad ridiculed Ameena and Amrita and defended its ancient trade. Back in Delhi, Ameena's father and mother were charged with abusing a minor, of literally putting Ameena up for sale. He had another daughter for sale at the time. It was poverty, he said, that forced him to put his daughters up for sale. The Sheikh's lawyer argued that under Muslim law, he could marry someone as young as 9, provided she'd reach puberty. India does provide for separate codes of conduct for Hindus and Muslims, but this case wasn't so clear. In India, nothing is clear. India has laws beyond measure, a nightmare of laws, of old British colonial laws, of local laws, regional laws, ethnic laws, tribal laws, religious laws, a devil's cocktail of laws. And to use and abuse them, division, some would say a plague of lawyers, gathered in permanent, temporary encampments around the law courts, drawers of briefs and carriers of writs, keeping more paper, feeding more dust into a system so rickety that justice is swift only for those who can afford to corrupt it. And that certainly does not include Ameena, age 13. While the law dithered, she was put behind bars, first with prostitutes, then with problem children, confused by what wrong she had done, emotionally battered by the indolence of officialdom and the law's delays.
It's from one court to the other court, and they transferred the case out of one court to the other court. By the time the papers get transferred, it's almost 2 months. Anyway, I haven't given up. It's been 6 months. I've been fighting in the courts, I've been going to the court, and it's not a very nice experience. But my motive was to save this child and her welfare. And I'm fighting.
In a hot and dusty corridor outside yet another courtroom in Delhi, the actors in this sad little drama assemble. Amrita, Ameena's father, leaders of a women's rights group, and in the courtroom, Ameena herself, all waiting to learn the fate, not of the criminal, but of the victim. The court didn't know what to do with her. They wouldn't let Amrita, who's a Hindu, adopt a Muslim child. They didn't want to send her home.
What did you say? No, what did you say? How long?
So she was sentenced to 3 years in a home for juvenile offenders. The women plead for mercy. The magistrate and his minions are not impressed.
I mean, if there's any possibility of your changing your mind, is
We
there?
are not changing our mind. We have decided, yet to be decided.
Yeah, that is...
But it wasn't final. A higher court overruled him and gave her perhaps a harsher sentence. She'd be sent back to her family.
These parents are unfit for this child because they've used her as a chattel. You cannot sell a child to improve your life standards. And he's got 8 children. That means if he's done one, he'll be doing it all over again. He has 5 more daughters.
Ameena is 14 now, a very old and very frightened 14, whose age of innocence and trust is long gone, if, of course, she ever had one. As for the case against Ameena's parents and the Saudi she was sold to, the courts are still deliberating. Ameena has since recanted, says she went willingly, but there are a few in India who do not believe she was coerced to protect her parents and perhaps the rich Saudi as well.